All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today, we're looking at something, well, pretty different, honestly. You sent in some German rap lyrics,
Yeah.
and just glancing over them, I gotta say, they're unlike anything I've come across.
It's interesting stuff, right? We've got snippets here from, let's see, 7 different songs.
Yeah.
And they all seem to share a kind of common thread, a kind of experimental style,
Yeah.
really pushing the boundaries of language.
Yeah, and you mentioned you're really fascinated by how music works in different cultures.
Yeah,
So I think this is going to be a real treat for us today.
definitely.
I mean, just looking at these lyrics, I'm already intrigued, but gotta be honest, I'm a little lost too. There's this word, or maybe it's more of a sound, it keeps popping up.
Yeah.
Hertz, Blogger, Tashilik. It's
Ah,
in a bunch of these excerpts.
right.
Hortz 1, Hortz 2, even Hortz 7. What do you make of that?
Oh, that's a fantastic place to start, I think. It's like
Yeah.
they've created their own word, almost like like a sonic signature for this specific style.
Yeah.
And it brings up some questions right away. Is this a real word with a hidden meaning? Or is it just, about the sound, the way it rolls off the tongue?
It does have a certain ring to it, even if it is totally made up.
Yeah.
It reminds me of how, like, English language rappers invent slang sometimes,
Oh, let's...
creating kind of an insider language for their fans.
Hmm.
Do you think these German artists are doing something similar?
Yeah, definitely possible. Could be a way to set themselves apart, to create a sense of community, among those who get it.
Uh-huh.
But what's even more interesting to me is how this word, this Herzblag der Taschlek, ties into the overall style of the lyrics. They're incredibly dense,
Yeah.
layered. It's almost like riddles wrapped in rhymes.
Yeah, that's what really struck me too. They're not just spitting out rhymes. There's a real sense of complexity here.
Absolutely.
Like in Hortz 1, the artist says, Flow so experimental, du verstehst es wohl nicht. Which translates to, flow so experimental, you probably don't understand it. It's almost a dare.
For sure. And that challenge is part of what makes this style so interesting, right?
Yeah.
It's not passive listening. It demands your attention. It forces you to lean in and really engage with the words.
Right.
And another excerpt, Hortz 2, describes the lyrics as meine Worte sind wie Rätsel, like my words are like riddles. So it's clear they're intentionally creating these intricate, challenging verses.
So we've got this mystery word, Herzbloger Taschelek. We've got these intricate lyrics that are like verbal puzzles. But then Hortz 5 throws another thing in. They describe their flow as wie ein Rennen, like a race.
Oh, interesting.
What do you think they mean by that?
Well, it seems like they're not just focused on the words themselves, but also the delivery,
Uh,
speed, the rhythm, how the words flow together. It's all part of the equation.
It's like they're rapping on fast forward,
Yeah.
pushing the limits of what's possible with language. But there's also this control there. A mastery over the rhythm. It's not chaotic, it's deliberate. It's like watching a high wire act or something.
Totally. It takes incredible skill to pull this off,
Right.
this kind of complex, fast-paced rap, and not lose the thread. It really highlights their intentionality as artists. This isn't just messing around. They're pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
challenging expectations of what German rap can even be.
It makes me wonder, when you listen to music in languages you don't understand,
Yeah.
what do you focus on? Is it the sound, the energy, the overall vibe?
That's a great question. I think even without knowing the meaning of the words, you can still pick up on the emotion, the intent behind it.
Yeah.
The sound itself can convey so much. And even in this case with these German rap lyrics, I don't speak German fluently, but I can feel the power, the artistry in how they're using language.
Totally. It's like you can still appreciate the craft, the skill, even if you don't get exactly what they're saying.
Yeah.
And speaking of skill, these artists are clearly proud of their approach here.
Oh, definitely.
In Hortz 7, the rapper states, Meine Sprache ist innovativ, der Rap ein Wunderblatt, which is, my language is innovative, rap is a place of wonder. They see themselves as pioneers, pushing the boundaries of the genre.
Yeah, and Hortz 5, they compare themselves to a juggler. They say, Ich spiele mit Worten wie ein Jongleur. Like, I play with words like a juggler. They're putting emphasis on their ability to manipulate language, bend it to their will.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we see in different hip-hop cultures, right?
Yeah.
This focus on wordplay, on being innovative, and pushing the creative envelope.
So they're creating this unique sonic landscape with
Yeah.
their made-up word, these like riddle-like lyrics, this crazy fast-paced flow. But then on top of that, they sprinkle in these moments of like pure absurdity. It's like they're throwing these curveballs to keep us on our toes.
Right. It's like they're playing with the listener, messing with our expectations of what rap's supposed to be. Like Hortz 3. There's that line that's just gibberish. Forsblune Chekumaran Opale.
Just pure sonic chaos right in the middle of these carefully constructed verses.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering if we'd get to that one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's completely nonsensical, but it's also kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
What are they going for with these moments of absurdity?
Well, it could be a way to inject some humor, and playfulness into the music. After all, even the most experimental art shouldn't take itself too seriously, right?
Right. It's like a wink to the audience, a reminder that they're not just trying to be pretentious or obscure.
Exactly.
You're having fun with language.
Yeah, but I also think these absurd moments could be pushing against the very idea of meaning in music.
Interesting.
Can words have power even if they don't literally make sense? Can sounds evoke feelings even if we don't understand the words themselves? That's a really interesting point. It's like they're saying we can make these complex rhymes, but we can also just throw in gibberish for kicks.
Exactly. And that kind of defiance, that refusal to be bound by conventions, that's a hallmark of experimental art.
Yeah, I love how these lyrics just keep us guessing, keep pushing us to think outside the box.
Yeah.
So we've got this word, Herzblockherberschelek, complex lyrics, fast-paced flow, bursts of absurdity. It's like they're taking all these elements and braiding them together into something totally unique.
It really is. It's a fascinating mix of like linguistic skill, sonic experimentation, and a healthy dose of playfulness.
It feels like we're just scratching the surface here, though. There's so much more to uncover in these lyrics.
Oh, for sure. And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll get into the deeper layers of meaning and intent behind these lyrics. We'll look at how these artists position themselves in the German rap scene, what they're trying to communicate through their music. Okay, so picking up where we left off, let's dig a little deeper into these lyrics. See if we can unearth some of those themes, some of those messages that are like woven into these experimental verses.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that. We've talked about the complexity, the absurdity, but what are they actually trying to say? What's the bigger picture here?
Well, one theme that really stands out for me is this idea of the artist as a pioneer, like a trailblazer,
Uh-huh.
forging a new path in German rap.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
they're not just following trends, they're creating them.
Yeah, that's definitely a recurring thing here. They're very vocal about that innovation, that desire to break the mold.
Right.
Like, remember that line from Hortz 7? Meine Sprache ist innovativ, der Rap ein Wunderblatt. My language is innovative, rap is a place of wonder. It's like their mission statement,
Absolutely.
declaration of intent.
Yeah, they're not just rappers, they're innovators, sonic architects, like linguistic alchemists,
Oh, I love that.
transforming the raw material of language into something totally new.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And it's not even just about the words, right? It's the delivery, the flow, the whole package.
Yeah.
Right.
They're really pushing the boundaries of rhythm and rhyme, creating these dense, layered soundscapes that are both challenging and exhilarating.
It's like they're redefining what it means to be a rapper in Germany. They're not afraid to experiment, to be different, to stand out.
Right, and I think that boldness is reflected in how they use language.
Mm-hmm.
They're not afraid to just make up words, to bend the rules of grammar, to create their own little linguistic universe. It's almost like they're speaking in code, creating a language only those in the know can decipher.
Yeah, I love that. Speaking in code, it really captures that feeling of exclusivity, being part of the inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
But it raises the question, are they trying to alienate listeners or pull them in? Is this them being deliberately obscure, or is it more about creating that intimacy, that shared experience for those who are willing to put in the work to decode it?
That's a really interesting question. I think it's probably a bit of both, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
there's definitely a bit of elitism there, this sense that they're operating on a higher level than the average listener.
Right. But on the other hand, I also get this sense that they genuinely want to connect, to share their vision with anyone who's open to it.
Absolutely. I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, hey, we're doing something different here, something special. If you're willing to come along for the ride, you might be surprised by what you find.
And even if you don't understand every single word, there's something super compelling about the music itself.
Totally.
The rhythms, the melodies, just the sonic texture of it. It's
Yeah.
captivating, even if you don't speak German.
It really is. It speaks to the power of music as this universal language. It can cut through cultural and linguistic barriers,
Yeah.
connect with us on this primal level.
And in the case of these experimental German rap lyrics, it's like the music itself becomes the message, right?
Mm.
The sounds, the rhythms, the way the words weave together. It all adds up to this sense of innovation, pushing boundaries, exploring new sonic territory.
Totally. It's like they're building this whole new world with their music and inviting us to step inside and experience something truly unique.
We talked about how Hortz 5 compares their flow to a race. Makes me think about the energy, the drive behind this music, this constant forward momentum
Mm.
that keeps you right on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's not even just about being fast or complex.
Right.
It's about control, precision,
Mm.
mastery over the rhythm. It's like they're athletes of language,
Yeah.
pushing their limits, seeing what's even possible.
Makes me wonder, do you think this kind of experimental rap is catching on in Germany? Is it influencing the mainstream at all, or is it more of a niche thing?
That's a good question, and one I don't have a clear answer to.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that this style is probably still pretty underground, appealing to a certain audience that's looking for something different, something that goes against the grain.
It's like a secret society of wordsmiths, united by this love of language and this willingness to push the boundaries of what's considered acceptable.
Yeah, I love that. It captures that feeling of excitement, of discovery, of being part of something that's still taking shape, still figuring itself out.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that even within something as global as hip hop, there's still space for innovation,
Absolutely.
for new voices to emerge and challenge the status quo.
Yeah. And these artists are the perfect example. They're not afraid to be different, to experiment, to create something truly unique.
So I know we've been talking a lot about the complexity and the unconventional use of language here,
Right.
but I want to circle back to those moments of pure absurdity we touched on earlier.
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm still kind of fascinated by them, you know?
Those are crucial, I think, to understanding this whole style.
Yes.
Like, remember Furs Blune Chikamera PLA from Hortz
Mhm.
3? It's like this sudden shifting gears, this unexpected jolt of chaos
Yeah.
right in the middle of these meticulously crafted verses.
It's like throwing a wrench in the machine just to see what happens.
Well, certainly.
It's playful, subversive, almost like a daddiest prank or something.
Exactly. Disrupting our expectations.
Mm.
Reminding us that language doesn't always have to make sense. It can be playful, it can be abstract, it could just be pure sonic delight.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes this style so refreshing. It's not just about technical skill or being lyrically gifted. It's about having fun with language,
Mm-hmm.
pushing the boundaries, creating something that's both challenging and entertaining.
I totally agree. And it's important to remember, even though these lyrics might seem nonsensical sometimes, they're still grounded in a deep understanding of language and rhythm.
Right, that's what's so impressive.
Absolutely.
They can pull off those absurd moments without sacrificing the coherence, the musicality.
Yeah, it's like a tightrope walk, right?
Yeah.
Between sense and nonsense, order and chaos. They're always pushing it,
Yeah.
but they never quite lose their footing.
It's remarkable, honestly. It makes me think maybe we need to rethink how we define meaning when it comes to music. Maybe it's not always about grasping every word,
I think so.
but feeling the energy, the intention,
Yeah.
the overall impact.
That's it. That's the heart of it.
Yeah.
That's what makes this experimental German rap so compelling. It makes us stretch our understanding of what music can even be to open ourselves up to new possibilities.
I feel like we've been on this wild ride, deciphering codes, unraveling mysteries,
Totally.
and discovering new layers of meaning in these lyrics.
But the trip isn't over just yet. In the last part of our deep dive, we'll connect all this back to you, our listener. We'll see how these German rap lyrics can inspire us to think differently about language, creativity, even the power of art itself.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the world of, well, experimental German rap.
Yeah.
We've been on quite the journey,
We have.
ciphering those lyrics, decoding meanings, and honestly, I'm still kind of stuck on that Furs Blune Kummer moment.
Right. It's amazing how a string of, what, seemingly meaningless sounds can spark so much discussion and intrigue.
Yeah.
But, I think it's time we shift gears a bit
Okay.
and connect all of this back to you, the listener.
Yeah, absolutely. What can we take away from this deep dive that goes beyond, wow, German rap can be really weird?
Well, I think for me, it's this powerful reminder that music can really transcend language.
Hmm.
Even if you didn't get every word, I bet you felt something while listening to those excerpts.
Yeah.
Maybe curiosity, amusement, even a sense of awe at the sheer creativity.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that hit me too.
Yeah.
Even without the literal meaning, the energy, the innovation, it was just palpable.
Exactly. Music works on all these different levels, emotionally, rhythmically, sonically.
Yeah.
It's not always about the dictionary definition of the words.
Right.
It's about how it makes you feel.
Yeah, and this whole dive has really highlighted that importance of pushing boundaries, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Of not being afraid to experiment.
Yeah.
These German rappers are clearly not content with just like following trends. They're forging their own path to
Huh.
creating something totally unique.
It's inspiring, honestly, to see artists who are so fearless in their creativity.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to break the rules, to invent new words, to just embrace the absurds. And I think that's a lesson we can all take to heart, no matter what our creative outlet is.
Right. It makes you think, what are the rules in my own field? And how can I shake things up? How can I bring a fresh perspective, a new way of thinking to what I do?
Love that.
Mm.
Embracing that experimental spirit. Not being afraid to step outside your comfort zone and see what happens. You never know what you'll find.
So we've talked a lot about the complexity
Yeah.
and the unconventional use of language in these lyrics. But I think there's also something here about the power of the unfamiliar.
Oh, totally. When we encounter something new, something that kind of throws our expectations out the window, it forces us to pay attention,
Right.
to really engage our minds.
It's like when you travel to a new country and you're surrounded by a language you don't understand.
Yeah.
It's disorienting at first,
Yeah.
and then it becomes so exciting.
Yeah. It opens up this whole new world of possibilities.
Right. And in a way, that's what these lyrics are doing too, right? They're inviting us to step outside our comfort zone,
Hmm.
to embrace that unfamiliarity and discover new ways of experiencing both music and language.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that there's always more to learn, more to explore, even in something we think we know, like music.
Exactly.
And who knows, maybe this deep dive has sparked a little something in you, our listener.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be inspired to seek out more experimental music, explore different genres.
Yeah, challenge your own listening habit.
Exactly. Or, start experimenting in your own creative projects. Bring in new sounds, new words, new ideas.
That's all about that.
That's the beauty of art, right? It has this power to inspire, to challenge, to shift how we see the world.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive into experimental German rap, I think the key takeaway is this. Don't be afraid to embrace the unfamiliar. Push boundaries. Experiment with your own creative voice.
And hey, who knows? You might even invent your own Hertz along the way.
Exactly. Until next time, keep exploring, keep discovering, and keep diving deep.